There certainly are a lot of processes to accounting, and the payroll process is one that we have to make sure we complete. We have to do it from start to finish, because at this point, you've collected or withheld money from your employees' paychecks on behalf of taxing authorities. Now you have to make sure that you get that money over to the taxing authorities and that you don't hold on to it. This must be done correctly, of course, and on time. Some taxpayers are monthly and some are semi-weekly depositors with the IRS or their local agencies. And this can make it a little bit difficult to remember when you're supposed to do it. So if you're a small company and if you have a hard time remembering this as one of the many things you have to do, one hint is just to pay your payroll liabilities when you do the actual payroll. That way it's done each time in the right amount, you don't have to remember, and life is easier. Now, some people may disagree and say that you should keep your cash as long as you can, and I'm not going to argue that point here. I'm just letting you know that there's a possible suggestion if you have a hard time remembering to make these particular payments on time. Regardless, one of the things that Peachtree does not do in a very automated way is help you pay these liabilities. What we actually have to do is simply look at a payroll liability report and figure out what we owe to each agency. In order to do this, I'm going to go up to the Reports and Forms menu, come down to Payroll, and take a look at my tax liability report. This report is actually broken down into the different types of liabilities. So if you look very carefully, you'll see that this very first category is for your FUTA tax. I can scroll down and see everything that was withheld for each of my individual employees. And when I get to the bottom of a particular tax, I'm going to see a summary. In this case, the name is in bold. We have our little totaling lines. And we can see that we had $89,549.04 in adjusted gross incomes. We had $88,356.72 in taxable gross incomes. And for this particular tax, we owe $706.84. So this is the important information we need to know. We want to look at this bottom line, and this is the amount that we actually want to write to the particular agency. Of course, you can go through this report, either print it out or just view it on screen and figure out what you owe to each particular agency itself. I'm going to go ahead and close this report down and just show you a couple more that we have, one of which is the payroll register. Let's take a look at this one. Once again, we can see our friend Amanda listed at the top, Amanda W. Chester. We have her masked Social Security number. We have the check number that she received and the date. How much she received, in this case, it was for 80 hours of regular pay, $1,120. Check was $809. We have all of her calculations that are important listed here as well. So this is a good report that shows me exactly what the payroll was for a particular given time. If you ever notice a little magnifying glass with the Z on it, that means I can use a zoom. If I double click, I can actually see the payroll entry. This is the actual check that was written to Amanda. And of course, on the bottom, we can see all of the different things that went into writing her paycheck. I'm going to go ahead and close this out, which brings us back to the report, and I'll close this report as well. And then I'll close the report window. And after I find out what my liabilities are, then I need to go ahead and pay the appropriate authorities. That's just like making a payment. By going to Tasks, choosing Payments, you can choose your tax agency and write a check for whatever amount is appropriately due. That then finishes up our payroll process. Payroll is one of the most critical things that you can do. It has to be accurate, it has to be right, and people aren't very forgiving, whether it's your employees that aren't paid correctly or taxing authorities that aren't paid appropriately. So please make sure that you take time and get help where necessary to ensure that Peachtree is set up correctly to help you with this very important task.